Hello to all my booty seekers and cheek chasers. This is the Carpe Natem Podcast. I am your host, Nate Hoya-Reynoso, and I am so grateful that you are listening to this episode. If you're new here, you should know that I believe that my purpose is to uplift, inspire, and educate others to communicate masterfully so that they can better understand themselves and others. I've spent years in the personal development and transformational technology space, and I want to share with you the wisdom that was passed down to me from giants in the industry. So if you're on a journey of self-mastery, like me, looking to make dreams a reality and willing to be a leader for your family and community, then join me in seizing the butt cheeks of life and giving them a big ol' squeeze. Let's jump into the show. Welcome back to another episode, everyone. Today, I have a super awesome guest. Jayden Grahlman is here with me on the podcast. This man is not only beautiful on the inside, but he's also incredibly beautiful on the outside. He is a talented artist, musician. He is a facilitator with the Miracle Makers, a program which I attended and graduated. He is a facilitator. He is a guide. He has done so many different things that he has an insurmountable amount of titles, but all are part of this man. I am so excited to bring y'all Jayden Grahlman. Welcome.
Hey, what's up, y'all?
How has your trip been in Austin? Because the audience doesn't know this, but you're coming from Canada. You drove all the way here, and now you're loving it so much you're thinking about making this a permanent home?
Yep. All I could say is that it feels good, and I'm grateful to be here.
I'm grateful to have you here. We've been having incredible conversations all night, and I'm so happy that you are giving me permission to put one of them on the air here at the Carpe Natem Podcast. What I want to do is spread a message of positivity. I want to show people that there is a mindset and a way of looking at life that can truly create something astounding for one's individual experience here on this earth. And you are an embodiment of that. Thank you. I'd love to know a little bit about what you're doing and kind of how you got into your role as a facilitator, as a miracle maker, and maybe even give us a little bit of details on what that program is like.
Totally. Cool. Well, that's a great question. And I think for all of us, it's like we have our own version. And for me, it's just been, well, actually, I could say this for everybody. It's like we learn in this world through contrast. Yeah. Right. So it's like, how do we learn about freedom? How do we learn about peace from struggling and suffering? And so it's like, we all have a version of that, and I had my own version, and I could go into the details, but they're not really that important. It's like I was struggling, and then I found a way to stop struggling. Like, that's basically it. And then what's left from that, is like when you find a way to end the stress inside of yourself, the only thing left to do is share that. It's like, there's a couple quotes that are coming through. One is that no one's free until everyone's free.
True.
Yeah. So when I found even just a little bit of freedom and like that kept getting deeper, it's like, okay, what's left to do but share this? And so one of the things that I teach and I've learned is that following the things that excite us most is the direct path to what I would call knowing who you actually are, knowing yourself, like on deeper levels, all the way to the deepest levels, which we'll talk about. But that following the inspiration is like the path to know yourself. And so I started doing that and kind of, from Bashar's teaching, if anybody's familiar with Bashar, it's like follow your passion to the best you can with no insistence on a particular outcome. But the key in that is actually action, It's like we could talk about, we could think about, we could give lip service to the things that excite us all day. But when we actually act on them, things happen.
And isn't it funny that when you're passionate about something and you're actually putting efforts towards obtaining that goal or reaching that next level, or whatever it may be for you individually, that it almost seems like you don't have time to sit around and hate on people? Like if you're so busy with your own things, worrying about how you can improve yourself, how you can do better, how you can grow, how you can get, like I said, to the next level. It almost feels like better habits become formative almost naturally.
Yeah.
Like you surround yourself in a good space, you try to surround yourself around with good people. I feel like what some people struggle with right now is they feel like they don't have those resources. They don't have that community, and they don't feel like they belong or should even try because, what's the point of it? Just go back to autopilot, drone out. What would you say to people who kind of have that feeling at this moment?
Specifically to the feeling of like, what's the point kind of thing? Like for somebody to have that feeling of like, what's the point in trying at all?
I guess some people will take what we say, and it almost sounds like too good to be true. Like I was struggling, learned how to not to, and just like that, it switched. And
I see what you're saying now.
Say
okay, I got you now.
And I understand what you're saying because I've also been at a place of struggle. Now I'm looking at it from the top of the wave, looking at the times where like we didn't have money in the account, where the account was red, and I still have all these behaviors learned from those experiences, and other people have these traumas that they've experienced in their lives. So when they want to be better, when they want to do stuff, if this is introductory to them, how do they even
got you. I totally got you. So I'll just give a little prequel to the answer to that, because it's like to create some foundation and context for the answer helps. The source of everybody's suffering is the same. It doesn't matter what the circumstances are. We could all agree on this point. Life is, for every single one of us, what it is. Yeah? Like, who's going to argue with that? No, life is what it is. And all the circumstances, all the things that come with it, that's what it is. For everybody. So that's where we're all the same. Where some of us are different is that we've learned to question what we believe about what is. Do you understand the context of that?
I feel like I'm right at the door of grasping the knowledge because I've had this.
Because I can explain that further.
Please do, just real fast. I've had this idea that life is suffering, but you get to choose your suffering, and if you get to a place,
that's interesting.
It is because, and let me just elaborate just on a tiny bit, and I would love for you to continue on with what you just said. When I say like life is suffering, when I go to the gym, it is suffering to get to build
I understand what you're saying.
What I get in results is worth the suffering. But that's in life, in relationships, in what we settle for, and the standard that we hold ourselves. You get to choose your suffering, and I truly believe that. Some more people, some are able to do this better than others.
Absolutely.
But it seems like you and I both kind of vibe at that frequency of like we get to choose what we suffer for.
Yeah.
Now I'd like you to continue.
So right now what we're talking about is definitions. Okay. So how you define something is your experience of it. Our definitions are basically, another word for a definition is belief or assumption, right? And so we have different definitions of things that create different meanings and different experiences. So if we're talking about suffering, again, we all go through pain. Every single one of us goes through pain. And what you were talking about at the gym is what I call eustress, or what is called eustress, which is a positive kind of stress that is good for the body, or good for you. Like for example, a cold shower. Cold shower is not comfortable, but it makes you feel a lot better.
It does.
Right.
And even the definition of stress has been changed over the years, where like a stress on a muscle is different than experiencing stress, because you want to stress out your muscles to have them grow, to reach hypertrophy,
whatever you call it. But the thing is eustress versus distress. That's the difference. And distress is when you are well, actually, before we go there, you talked about suffering. The difference between pain and suffering is pain is what it is. It's a sensation. Suffering is a mental construct that is believing a thought that's in resistance to what is. That's what suffering is.
What would you call chronic pain?
Chronic pain is chronic pain. It's pain that happens often. Suffering is believing that you shouldn't be in chronic pain when you are. That's suffering. Because you're mentally arguing with what is, your body goes into you literally create inflammation when you believe thoughts that argue with what is. You create inflammation in the body, and then you feel sensations like a pit in your stomach, or a boot on your chest, or heat in your face, and then you do things to cope with that, which is called addiction.
Yeah, it's the numbing of reality. It's the
Yeah.
taking away of the pain. All these symptoms and all these feelings are byproducts of something that is misaligned. And instead of addressing the feeling, sitting with the feeling, it's a very avoidant behavior.
Yeah.
And then we go to addiction to then cope with these feelings and maybe try to escape them. But they never escape, they only compound.
Yeah, they work short term. So, like, if I'm really stressed out, I could have a beer, and that's going to help me a little bit in that moment. But the beer doesn't take away the core source of the suffering that keeps reoccurring if you don't address it, that's what the work I do is addressing those things that keep people in resistance to life.
See, now I feel like the most common man amongst all of us listening would have difficulty identifying what the true issue is, because we can always say something like, well, the real reason I'm stressing out is because I have to make the car payment on the 23rd. Well, that's not really the reason. The reason is because I need more money. Well, that's not really the reason. And then you end up kind of spiraling and kind of going around the same thing. How does one identify what truly somebody is suffering from?
It's one thing, and it's the same one thing for all of us.
Is it really?
Yes.
Okay.
It's called believing your thoughts.
Elaborate.
There's two ways you can respond to a thought, right? Everyone has thoughts, yeah?
Correct.
And most people believe all the ones that show up in their head.
Yeah.
Yeah? But some people have learned to question the thoughts they believe, and that's the process I teach, is questioning those thoughts, and on the other side of realizing that they're not true, you're free and happy again.
So it's selectively choosing which thought to give attention to.
Not even attention to, which ones you believe. Because I can give attention to a thought that I'm a dickhead, but that's not going to create suffering for me because I don't believe it.
Yeah.
You know? But if you were to tell me I was an asshole and I believed that, it probably would trigger me.
Yeah, because you would get a response from it.
Because I believe it.
In the same way, like, I've had this experience where, like, I no longer drink alcohol. So, but I've been around people while not alcoholically sober, but like, I haven't had any alcohol in my system. They're drunk, obviously, and they say things and it just comes out of their mouth, but I know they're drunk. It doesn't affect me.
Exactly.
Right? It's just kind of like, it just rolls off you because you're just you're the drunk asshole calling me an asshole. I'm actually doing the opposite. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Right?
And can I add something to that?
Yeah.
So something that's really handy to know is that anybody's judgment of you can enlighten you if you are open to it. And I'll explain that. It means that if somebody calls me an asshole and I'm triggered, the truth is that I actually believe that's true on some level, and I haven't admitted that to myself, because when you call me that, it points to this wound within me that I haven't addressed. But you know, so it's like the something that's really helpful to know is that when I can look to my own experience and see where I have been an asshole,
True.
and admit that, when somebody says, hey, you're an asshole, I go, yeah, you're right.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, totally.
There's an example someone gave me one time at a seminar where they basically said that all your attributes, especially your negative ones, are like beach balls, and you have multiple beach balls. You can push them down under the water as much as you would like, but at the end of the day, it'll always rise to the surface. So there's no point in hiding the attributes. So if someone says that I'm a bitch or you're a bitch or whatever it may be, you can be like, yeah, spot on. Actually, yeah, there's been times, and you can admit it, and it takes away the power instead of hiding the negative. And I put that negative in a quote because honestly, from any perspective, and I truly believe that every perspective is right, every viewpoint is correct because everyone will have whatever's true for them, right? If you accept that you were a bitch because you needed to get something done or because you had to be a boss in that moment or whatever reason to justify it, you use that because that was the best of your ability to do so, and that's what you went to. Fine, fuck it. If someone else calls me that, that doesn't diminish my character because maybe I was in that role. Who cares? It's me. So it takes away that power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of places I can go, but the first one that's coming to the mind is the piece of identity. Okay, remind me of two pieces. One is identity, one is innocence. Okay, so let's talk about the innocence piece. The realization that all beings are innocent at their core is, it says that, the reason why people do things that they regret is not because they want to do things they regret. It's because they believed something in that moment that was creating stress for them, and then so they tried to do something to relieve themselves of that. So their goal was to not feel bad. That was their goal.
And
That's an
everybody
innocent goal.
wants to not feel bad.
That's an innocent goal. But we're
Yeah.
taught ways to deal with that aren't in alignment with who we truly are. So that's all we know. So that's called conditioning, right? So that's the innocence piece, to go, everybody's innocent. They're just playing out their conditioning, and they don't know how to deal with that.
The same way as I see the person that harmed me is like, if I took every single step that they have ever taken in their life in the same way that they did, I would have done the same thing in their shoes.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you are a projection of everything around you, and vice versa.
Yeah. Parents, conditioning, society, all of it teaches all of us to be a certain way. And nobody is taught, I can't say nobody because now, we're doing this work. There's lots of great teachers in the world. But most people aren't taught how to deal with their conditioning that's negative, because they're just steeped in it.
And like you said, at the core of the innocence of it, somebody wanted to just not feel bad.
Exactly.
And because they felt bad, they were so willing to do whatever to stop feeling it, that they turned to things like whatever, addiction, or any ways you choose to cope.
Yeah.
We all have our ways.
Yeah.
Some better than others. I guess what I'd like to ask from here is, when you have someone who feels like their life is just suffering, like it feels like they're have been in the same rut for so long that they know no other way of life. And then, of course, you're saying it all starts with, an acceptance of oneself, as well as like an inquiry on whether or not we believe our own thoughts. What do you say to the person who feels like there's no way out, where this is now life for them? Like, I want to reach not only the people who are willing to receive, but those who believe that there is nothing better for them. Because to show somebody that can change a life.
To someone who's listening, who is experiencing that, I would just say, I love you. I love you. We all deserve love. We all deserve all the things that we want in life. But the world is conditioned to think with fear. And, we've been brought up in that society. So it's, if somebody's experiencing that, there's nothing wrong with them. They're just a result of their conditioning. And so, one of the most powerful things you can do, I call immediacy. This practice of immediacy. Now, I'm going to go back to the identity piece, because that's another ping that I'm going to come back to. But let's talk about immediacy. Now, if you're listening to this and you can close your eyes, do it. Because immediacy is going to your immediate experience. The only thing that we can absolutely rely on for support in our lives, unconditionally, is our immediate experience. It always is what it is. It never changes. So you look to your immediate experience and you close your eyes and you go, other than what I'm thinking and believing, am I okay? One of the most powerful ways of saying this is to go, close your eyes, and notice that you're breathing. Right? Don't even try to change your breathing. Just notice that you are. And notice that you're not doing that. You're not doing that. That's just happening. You don't know how to breathe. You never learned that. It just happened to you. You don't know how to digest your food. You don't know how to beat your heart. That's just happening. And if you close your eyes and you notice that your head is supported by your neck is supported by your chest and shoulders and diaphragm, and the food's digesting perfectly, the chair you're sitting on isn't asking anything of you. It's not saying, don't leave, please come back, I need you. It's supporting you unconditionally. The chair's supported by the ground. The ground is supported by the foundation under it. Everything in the universe is supporting you to be exactly as you are. If it wasn't the case, you couldn't be here. You couldn't exist if everything wasn't supporting you. So if we could sit here for 1,000 years and still not find all the ways that we're being supported in this moment. It
is true.
There's a person walking down the street right now that we don't know that probably works for the company that keeps these lights on. that's happening all the time. And we're so focused on our story that we don't even know how supported we actually are and how loved we actually are.
This is why I'm such an advocate of daily gratitude, where you should take 5 minutes out of your day, take 1 minute out of your day, and name 5 things that you're grateful for. And they don't have to be big or grandiose or amazing. Just be grateful for 5 things. Think of 2 people in your mind and wish them the best in life, or tell them, like, I hope this person finds love. Something like that, something so positive. If you start doing these little things, I feel like it then builds upon.
Yeah.
And you are able to have these awarenesses of, you know what, the lights were on this week, so I'm doing pretty good. My phone's charged right now. I'm doing pretty good. I don't need to worry about where my next meal is coming. I'm doing pretty good. Like, a majority of us are doing really good. I feel bad for the ones who are in the outlier positions, but to them, we love you. Our heart is with you. And what I want to do in the future is get to a place where we don't have those outliers.
Yeah. And so this leads to the identity piece, which
Beautiful.
is the most important part of it all. And this really goes to, and it's interesting to go right to the core of something in a 45-minute podcast, but I think why not, right? Is understanding who and what we actually are. And I'll see if I can describe this in a way that makes a lot of sense. If I was to ask the people listening, do you, like, if I ask somebody, point to yourself. Normally they go, and right now for you, those of you listening, I've got like a finger pointed at my body. Goes, there I am. And, it's like we think we are our body, one, and we also think we are our thoughts. Like, if I was my thoughts, every time my thoughts changed, I would change. But I'm not my thoughts, because everyone listening has had moments of not thinking. We're not thinking 100% of the time. There's moments where you're doing something, you just don't have a thought. If your thoughts aren't there and you're still there, that means you're not your thoughts. And I'll just say one more thing.
I love that. I'm just going to say I love that.
Yeah, and because we try to think of the simplest ways to describe these things. And this, as far as the question is, like, what is the essence of something? How do you figure out what the essence of something is? And the way that you figure that out is by taking away everything that's not that thing, right? So use the body as an example. Let's figure out what the body is. Okay, well, let's take off your sock. And I'm actually taking Nate's sock off right now. Take off your sock. Okay, that's not the body. Okay, cool. Let's take off the other sock. And we keep going, and we take off the shirt, the pants, the underwear, and we go, okay, what's left is the body. And I'm seeing is that fine? Yeah. So what's left is the body. And so that's how you figure out what the body is. Okay, so let's figure out what you are, not the body. Let's figure out what you are. So, okay, your thoughts come and go. You don't, right? Your emotions change. Your awareness of your emotions doesn't change. It's just you're aware of your emotions. Mm-hmm. Your experiences always are changing, never the same. So, okay, you're not your experiences, you're not your emotions, you're not your thoughts. If you're not your body, then what are you? You are, and this is what we all share, and if you actually go to your immediate experience, it can't be denied. And it's also so simple that it's overlooked, is you are the fact that you are aware. That's what you are essentially. Because how could you be anything other than that?
I am my own awareness.
You are, I'll ask you this, Nate. Are you aware right now that you are aware?
Yeah.
Okay. So that awareness is what you are. That's the essence of you.
That's where my brain breaks.
Yeah, because your brain, you're aware of your brain, yeah?
Yeah.
So your brain isn't you. So your brain breaks. Is like, what is that? That's just a thought. Your brain's not actually breaking.
Right.
I'm looking at it. It looks fine.
Still working.
So you had a thought that says my brain breaks, and you were aware of that thought, yeah?
Yeah.
That's you.
Interesting.
So this awareness, if I cut your wrist, that sounds pretty intense.
Yeah.
Though, but if I cut your wrist,
first time, yo.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I know. It was, so the reason I'm so positive now and why I put so much love into the world is because as a younger person, I was very self-harming and
I get it.
And just very self-destructive.
Yeah.
But it was also an aware. Now it's It's a reflective awareness.
Yeah.
That I just was believing all the thoughts in my head, and I didn't know how to transmute the emotions that I was feeling into something productive like I do now.
Yeah.
So I put so much good out there because of that experience. Especially with the self-hate and the self-love. It's been an uphill battle.
Yeah, well, this conversation is going to be a really great healing for that inner child.
Hell
because, you know, it's like, and I'll use your forehead as an example, and like,
Thanks.
we can be like Nelly, you know?
Let's go.
It's like, hey, holler up. So if I put just a little nick in your forehead,
Sure.
you're aware of that, yeah? Like,
Yeah.
okay, I've got some blood. You know, was your awareness hurt or harmed by that?
No,
No.
maintains its ability.
Yeah, and you know, the same way, the analogy is like a computer screen, okay? Computer screen. Does the computer screen care if there's nukes going off on the screen?
No, it doesn't.
No. Is it hurt by the nukes?
No, neither it is.
No. You could put anything on the screen and the screen is unaffected because it's simply an open space for all things to occur. It's just aware of what is. That's like our awareness. You could say it's like the sky, you know, and the clouds that come and pass by are like thoughts, emotions, sensations, perceptions, experiences, smells. Anything in the realm of objective experience is a cloud passing through the sky, right? Or a thing showing up on the screen. Same way, anything in our realm of our experience could never hurt, harm, or alter in any way our awareness of that. It's not possible to hurt your awareness because your awareness is just aware of that hurt. It's always outside of the experience.
Interesting.
But it's also the experience itself. So we're going kind of to the depth of the nature of what we are, which we all share. The same awareness that I am. You say the word I am, like I am. That's the only thing that's inherent to you. You are. You exist.
Right.
And the same existence that you are is the same awareness or existence that I am. There's no difference to it. But we're playing this game as if like we're like these two separate things mirroring to each other ourselves. So I know that's going in a little bit of an interesting route, but just to keep it simple for anyone listening is like you are awareness, period.
I am loving this. I think that this is such a fun conversation. I love the perspective that you have.
Yeah.
I've been kind of told something similar, but instead of being called my own awareness or just being called awareness, they said it's a spirit.
Yeah,
and the
spirit, whatever you want to call it.
I was explained to it was just like, and I think this came from Miracle Makers, where the example that I had specifically was that somebody I had trusted who was in a bad place, I gave them something with the hopes that it would help them get out of their hole, and once they're out of their hole, they would pay me back. They didn't. They stole money from me, right? They went away with it.
I wouldn't say they stole it because you gave it.
Wait for a second.
Yeah.
It was with the intention of giving it
Doesn't matter.
I know. Sidebar. Sidebar. When I brought this a question to Brandon and to the Miracle Makers, and I believe I also talked with Steven about this, the idea is that at the highest level of what I can be, I am a spirit. And at that highest level, I am not the body, I'm not anything. What's truly hurt by that person was the body. The body is what felt the pain of being stolen from.
And not even the body, the mind, the perception, because the body wasn't hurt there.
But the spirit can't get hurt. The spirit is abundant. The spirit doesn't feel any type of scarcity. So to give away and to not even worry about it is a capability of the spirit. And at the highest level that he can be, they are also a spirit, and they didn't hurt me. Their body did. Their mind did. Their actions, their thoughts did. So at the highest level, I wasn't stolen from, and at the highest level, I wasn't hurt by her. Yeah, and that's kind of something that it helped me cope with a lot of feelings of just where I've been hurt before.
Yeah, where I have been hurt. The body or the mental construct that I think I am.
The spirit has never been hurt. The spirit can never be.
But can I take this just a little bit deeper?
Yeah, fuck it. Let's go, dude.
Because when we say the spirit, sometimes that can sound like it's something out there, something exotic, something not just inherent to you. Like when I say to you, I don't mean something that's other than you. So when we say the spirit, we're talking about just the fact, and I'm coming back to my definition, just to bring it different perspectives for people. The fact that I'm aware, which everybody can connect to. Like some people go, well, I don't even know what a spirit is.
Sure.
You know, or like, I don't know if I'm a spirit, right? Yeah. But they know that I'm an I, right? Like people call themselves I.
Always.
Right? So what they're referring to as I, which they think is the body, isn't. So it's like when I say I'm not talking about the body, but that's what most people are talking
You're
about.
talking about the thing controlling the body, the essence of what exists.
The thing that's aware of the
creates-
body.
thing
Because
that's
even
aware
the
of
thing
body.
controlling the body is the conditioning of the world. So that's not even me. So I'm watching all this conditioning play out and going, what's there left to do but heal all this conditioning so people can live a good life?
And to do so, it starts with
This process of inquiry, which we teach in Miracle Makers. And I could, if we have time, I don't know what the timing's like, could run through like a little brief thing on that.
Sure. So this is a very special treat. You are going to guide us through a small inquiry piece.
Yeah.
It's an exercise that we can apply immediately.
Yeah.
This is a real big treat for the listeners.
Yeah.
Thank you beforehand
Yeah,
for
totally.
doing so.
Totally. And thank you guys for sticking with this conversation. I know it can go in some places where you're like, huh? But that's exactly what it's supposed to do. That's the key, is like to start going to those places that make you go, wait, what? Because the like realm of thinking that we live in is the problem.
And I admire your way of thinking. This is the same reason why I love Russell Brand in the Joe Rogan episodes that he's had. I've listened to them 2, 3, 4 times because he's in a span of 2 hours, he's just dropping all these knowledge bombs and then reference docs and books to look up. You're on that same frequency where you're awakening other people. And please re-listen to this episode as many times as you need to. The viewing numbers are great for me.
Yeah,
but
that was my plan all along.
Exactly. This is awesome marketing. But thank you again. Thank you for spreading these messages.
Totally. So the inquiry piece. So this is something that you can just do, and we've adopted some of the questions from Byron Katie. She calls the work. Now let's just use an example of the work, because the work is you take you could say it's like you take thoughts that arise within your mind and you isolate them, meaning you write them down, where you just focus on a single thought, and then you ask questions to decode that thought, essentially. And what we do a little bit deeper in Miracle Makers is decoding who and what we actually are at our core. But we won't go to that level right now. We'll go to the thought level. It's kind of an indirect path to ending suffering, finding freedom. So it would sound like something like this. You have a partner or a person in your life who you think should do something differently than they're doing. Everyone's had that experience. And I'll just give you a bunch of worldly examples. My parents should understand me. My partner should listen to me right now. My partner, I don't want my partner to leave me. My brother should stop doing drugs. And whatever thought, you insert your own thought that is stressing you out, right? And I'll just pick one as an example. I need my parents to understand me, or I want them to understand me. You take that thought that you're believing that's creating stress, and you bring it against these questions. So I'll just do that for the audience. I want my parents to understand me. The first question is it true? Now you ask, if I'm asking you that question, is it true? And you just give your honest answer. You go, I really, and put yourself in those shoes of like, maybe you've even had that experience. You?
Yeah, I have. I've wanted my parents' approval.
Yeah. I want my mom's approval, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's had that thought. So let's just use that thought. I let's just say need for fun. I need my mom's approval to be happy, to feel good.
No, that's a thought that I've definitely had.
Yeah. So let's use that. So is that true?
No. Not for me.
Okay, so not for you. So I'll just, as an example of somebody who really does believe that's true.
So
they'll say, yeah, I do need that, And the second question of inquiry invites someone deeper into their self, which is what we're actually looking for in our mom. We're looking for ourselves in everyone else. So you guide someone deeper into themselves by asking, you need your mom's approval. Okay, we're going to do the work on that thought. Now sit with that thought, focus on it, close your eyes, take a breath. I need my mom's approval. Can I absolutely know that that's true? And it's like you're listening inside. Can I absolutely know that it's true that I need my mom's approval? Now you're kind of thinking a little bit differently. You're going, do I actually need that? I'm actually looking to see if I need it. And you go to reality, which is always perfectly what it is. So my mom's not approving of me. yet I think I need her approval, yet I don't have it, and I'm still here. Huh. Maybe I don't actually need it.
And I guess we're hung up on the definition of need. It's like, is it a necessity to exist?
Or we could even say want. I want my mom's approval. Is that true? Yeah, it's true. I want it. Okay, can you absolutely know that it's true that you want your mom's approval? Is that really what you want? And you ask someone deeper, and often they'll think about it for a while, and they go, actually, no, it's not what I want. I want something deeper than that, beyond my mom's approval, and that's what we're getting to. So then we ask the question, how do you react? What happens when you believe that thought?
So if I believe that thought that I need my mom's approval, I feel stressed, I feel anxious because I'm not doing enough, I need to be doing more, I need to be better at what I'm doing. Like, it makes me feel upset that I'm can't relax.
Yep.
So I'd be super stressed out. I'd be too stressed out to relax.
Then you try to overachieve to get it, right? You push yourself too hard, right? And you feel that pit in your stomach, right? So, it's somewhere in the body, and you could go on and on and on and on. And then you cope with that feeling with addictions. Like, it goes on, the things that happen when we believe a thought. So you ask a person, and you go through that experience. And then the next question is, who would you be without that thought? Just sitting in this chair. Or put yourself back in that situation. Who would you be in that moment without the thought, I need my mom's approval?
Be more confident in my own self-worth. I'd probably be more confident in like my actions, and would trust my own instinct more because I wouldn't need someone else's approval. My approval is the highest that I can achieve.
Yeah, and like even simpler, you'd just be a person who doesn't need their mom's approval.
Which also works.
It's like, without that thought, I'm just a person who is, I call it loving what is. It's like, I'm just good with what is. It's just what it is.
You truly embody this thought because in the way you carry yourself, in the way you talk, in the way of like, you are by far one of the most present people I've ever had a conversation with.
Oh, cool.
I feel that your attention is the opposite of what ADD is defined as.
Interesting.
Like, it's very here, it's very aware, but it's also very in the moment. Or I space out constantly. I disassociate, and I have to come back into the conversation. But I can always hear and maintain the conversation no matter what. Right. But I do notice that the wandering of the mind is something that happens to me. You're very present. And when we were talking about like modifying the color of our eyes, you just said, love the way it is. I'm happy how it is.
Yeah. We call it the thought that kicks you out of heaven. Is like, I'm laying down on this couch, and without the thought, I really could use a pillow, I'm in heaven. As soon as I believe the thought, I really could use a pillow, now I'm no longer in heaven. I'm in hell, which is not what is.
Suffering.
Yes.
It's because you thought you needed the pillow. You don't need the pillow.
Yeah, before that thought, I was just happy on the couch, right? Then I thought of something I didn't have that I thought I needed, and there's suffering born. I need more money. Is it true? Do I need more money just to sit on this couch?
No, and often it's not the lack of money. It's usually the management of, or the expenses of. It's like,
but even that's all based in past and future, right? Managing future, right? You can't manage anything right now. It's just is what it is. There's nothing to manage in the now. That's why I'm so present, because it's like I have nothing else to think about. Like without a future.
And they do say that like anxiety is worrying about the future, and depression is focusing and worrying about the past.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's just a lack of being present.
Yeah, Byron Katie says if you want fear and stress, get a future. If you want guilt and shame, get a past.
And what do you get when you have a present?
Freedom and peace.
Nice.
It's just like, actually feeling like yourself. That's what we're meant to feel like, free and at peace, So just to finish that inquiry piece, who am I without that thought that I need my mom's approval? At peace, essentially. Now, the last part of the inquiry from Byron Katie's work is the turnarounds, which is you take that thought and you turn it around to the opposite, and you see if the opposite is not more true than your original thought. So I need my mom's approval. What's the opposite? I don't want my mom's approval. Okay, so let's go to that. And you just look for evidence of that. I don't want my mom's approval. What does my mind think about that thought? No, I don't want my mom's approval. I want my own approval. Like, that's actually what I want, because my mom could approve of me, and if I didn't approve of myself, it still wouldn't matter.
Right.
I still wouldn't feel good. So it's not my mom's approval I want, it's mine. Right? Because my mom's approval can't do anything but give me permission to approve of myself, and it can't even do that. You know? I'm the only one that can do that. So another turnaround is I want my approval just to be as I am. Isn't that more true? You know, and when people start to see that, you go, okay, I've been looking in the wrong places for approval. Huh, good to know. You know, like my mom's, what she approves of or what she doesn't approve of is none of my business. That's her business. And I always say, or I don't always say, I wrote a post about this the other day and I like it, I'm going to start saying it, is that I want people to approve of what they approve of. That's what I want. I want you to approve of, Nate, what you approve of, because aren't you going to approve of that anyways?
Yeah.
Right? You don't wait for my permission to approve of what you approve of.
Yeah.
So like, why waste my
natural.
time? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like, I want Nate to approve of, and if he doesn't approve of me, well, that's his story, you know?
Because you approve of you.
Yeah.
And you approve what you approve.
Yeah, and the funny part about that is like, if just for example, you didn't approve of me, which I don't feel like is true, but even if it was,
yeah.
you know, if you didn't approve of me, it's actually not me you're not approving of. It's your own story of me, which has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
You know?
I see where you're going.
So it's like, I love my story of Nate because I love my story. Why wouldn't I love my story of Nate? Right. If I didn't, it's not about Nate. It's my story. It's coming from me. You know, it's not coming from you, so it has nothing to do with you. So I love my story of everybody because why wouldn't I?
And then that creates
happiness and peace.
An infinite heaven.
Infinite heaven. Yeah, I like that way of putting it. Yeah. And even people that have, quote unquote, done me wrong, I approve of that too, because, you know, it's like,
if not for what has happened to you, you wouldn't be sitting and speaking the way you do.
That's a great reason. It's a great reason, and I could find a million. You know, I couldn't find them all because I'm not God. You know, I can't see every perspective. But I know that there's a lot of reasons to be grateful for everything.
For sure. There's an unlimited amount of reasons to be grateful.
Yeah, and that's kind of a high level of mastery, because people might go, well, fuck that. I'm not grateful for everything. I'm not grateful for the trauma that happened to me when I was little. I'm not grateful for the people that are starving and, you know, all of this stuff. And it's like, I'm grateful that I can, in this moment, choose to positively affect those things, you know? And that's all I care about, because you know, and I'll reference Byron Katie because I love her work. She talks about the three kinds of business in the world. There's my business, which is what I think, what I do, you know, how I behave, how I see things. There's other people's business, which is all of those things for them. And then there's God's business, which is everything you can't control, right? You can't control
tornadoes dropping down.
Yeah, or the people starving in different parts of the world,
the cycle of the moon.
You know, or people getting abused. You can't control that right now, right? So that's, you know, all of those things. Anytime we're focused on God's business or other people's business, we suffer, and suffering doesn't contribute to world peace. So if I want to contribute to world peace, I better damn free myself first, and then I can get to work helping all these things. You know, because people think they need stress in order to be motivated to heal the world. I say that's stupid. You know, stress doesn't help anybody. You know, it only makes you less effective. When you're purely at peace, if somebody's getting stabbed in front of you, you're the most effective person in the room. You know, people think stress, it benefits them, but that's old school conditioning. It actually doesn't.
Absolutely not. The body should not be under duress 24/7.
But just a little caveat to that. Obviously, there is positive stress. Like if a tiger's chasing you, well, all of my energy is going to go into my limbs. That's the body wisdom. You know, there's stress to stay alive for the body.
Right.
Right. But we remember, we ain't the body. So, and we're not living in the freaking tiger zone right now. So we have to think differently now.
Yeah, we shouldn't be stressing over the Wi-Fi not working.
Exactly.
Or something that's so...
Or our mom not approving of us.
There you go.
You know? So this could go as deep as people want it to go. And it also can meet them at the level they're at. Like if they're just dealing with their partner and not listening to them, you can deal with that. But you can go as deep as you want. And that's where we go in Miracle Makers is like, you can go anywhere with anyone and really safely lead someone to peace. You know?
I love it. I love the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being a guest on this podcast. To wrap things up, is there any book or resource that somebody listening could go for if they want to get to know more about the work and or anything that's helped you that you believe can help someone else?
Yeah.
And then after that, let's go ahead and plug you and say wherever you are, where they can find you and where they can know more about the Miracle Makers program as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I'd recommend people read Loving What Is. It's a great book by Byron Katie. I read that about 10 years ago, and I wrote a song after I read the book called Doing the Dishes and Loving It. And I'll have to play that song for you sometime because you'd laugh. But I read that book a long time ago, and it made a huge impact on me. And, we bring this work into the work we do with Miracle Makers and just go in different directions with it. But I do recommend people read that or listen to it on their platform or whatever. So, yeah.
It's called
Loving What Is.
Loving What Is by Byron Katie.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm looking it up right now on Google so I can screenshot and add it to my Audible list.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Awesome. And then let us know where we can find you. So where are your handles and where they can find your music, where they can support you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So Instagram, is a good spot. Jayden Grahlman, Jayden _Jayden _ Grahlman, Grah. Should come up at that point. And you can find most of the stuff, like my music and stuff, like on Instagram links. But my music is on all the streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, blah, blah, blah. Really excited to share the music. Facebook, you can have me on Facebook, YouTube.
And man's talented, y'all. Y'all should really check him out.
Hey, thank you.
Now, to wrap this up completely, tell us about where people can find more information about Miracle Makers. Yeah.
So I would love, especially those of you who resonated with this, to check out Miracle Makers, because you talked about at the very beginning of the podcast. It's like, what do people do when they don't have community, when they don't have support, when they don't have people surrounding them that are lifting them up, that are helping them with the things that cause them stress, like at really deep levels? It's like, join Miracle Makers. That's what the space is for.
I'm doing my best with this project to build my own tribe and build my own community of people who resonate with what's being talked about. At the same time, I tell people, like, I don't care if you buy from me or from one of my guests or from none of us, right? If something that you're able to listen to and take away from, awesome. If you just listened, I'm grateful for that. But I want people who really resonated with what you're talking about, who want to know more, who believe that they can understand and work through these high-level concepts. And I know y'all go with a gradient where, every class builds upon the last. I was part of the initial pilot program. I really enjoyed it. It really helped me with a lot of things and grow to where I'm at. And I've even thanked Brandon for gifting me an opportunity to attend his course. So Miracle Makers, please check that out.
Yeah. Instagram link, it's right in there to find that.
And we'll put links on the website and everything so that way we can get you situated. But again, dude, thank you so much for being a fabulous guest.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Carpe Natem Podcast. If you love this episode, please consider leaving a positive rating and review on Apple Music or iTunes. It takes 30 seconds for you, but for us, it helps spread positivity to more people during these chaotic times. It helps build a community, and it makes me smile from ear to ear. Speaking of community, we have a Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/Carpe Natem. Just answer the 3 questions to get access to some extra motivation and inspiration for your timeline. If you would like to support the podcast, screenshot this episode, share it in your story, and tag me on Instagram at Carpe Natem114. That's going to be my handle across all platforms, including TikTok, if you would like to give me a follow. If you haven't already, please rate us and subscribe on Spotify or anywhere you enjoy your podcasts. And lastly, you can find all episodes, linked to resources, and opportunities for coaching and mentoring from me at carpenatem114.com. I cannot thank you enough for spending part of your day with me. You are all rock stars taking the necessary steps to be your best self, willing to do whatever it takes, and ready to grab life by the butt cheeks. Until next time, this is Nate Della Hoya-Reynoso signing off.